Good morning, Pittsburgh. You're listening to Maximize Living Radio. I'm Dr. Alex Pattison on air with Dr. Aaron Greiner. And as always, this morning, we're here to teach you, to inspire you, and to coach you to your maximize living potential. We've got a tremendous show in order for you. This morning, we're going to be discussing all things hormone health. So whether you deal with depression, you don't sleep well at night, perhaps you have a thyroid condition, you're anxious, we're going to leave no stone unturned as we go through the natural protocol that thousands of Pittsburghers have been able to implement into their lives, take their health to the next level. You can't afford to miss a single second of this morning's program. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Maximize Living Radio. That was Dr. Aaron Greiner. I'm Dr. Alex Pattison. This morning we're discussing all things hormonal health, and I want to stick with the topic that Dr. Aaron just went through because this is often a question that we get from our practice members, from the community, and from the city when it comes to hormone balance. It's often related directly into this is why I cannot lose weight. And I've actually read some interesting research, an article that was published not too long ago in the Obesity Research and Clinical Practice, very prestigious medical journal. And it actually found that it's harder for adults today to maintain the same weight as those 20 to 30 years ago did, even at the same exercise levels and even at the same food intake levels. So even if an individual today eats the same calories and exercises the same way that maybe your parents or an aunt or an uncle or a friend or a loved one did just 2 to 3 decades ago, you statistically will carry more weight and have a harder time losing that weight. So in 2006, an individual eating the same calories, taking in the same quantities of the macronutrients, this would be your fat, your proteins, your carbohydrates, and exercising the same way that an individual did in 1988. The individual today, compared to the individual at the end of the 1980s, BMI, their body mass index, was about 2.3 times higher today than it was in 1998. In other words, people today are about 10% heavier than they were in the 80s, even following the exact same diet and exercise protocols. Now, the article went and pointed out 3 reasons for this. Actually, it pointed out a couple of them, but I just want to take the 3 that it pointed out and relate those directly to hormonal health. And the first one that popped up that I think is hugely important that we need to begin to wrap our mind around and understand is that people today are exposed to infinitely more chemicals than we were in the 1980s. And most of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, which means that they negatively impact your hormones. And one of the issues that we see today in our society is that those hormones are interrupted. It causes our metabolism to decrease, causes our body to go into a state of fat storage, and literally makes it almost impossible for an individual that's constantly being exposed to these chemicals to reach and maintain their ideal body weight, even if they're decreasing their caloric intake and they are exercising. Some of the biggest chemicals that we're exposed today that we weren't necessarily exposed to in the 80s are pesticides that are put onto our foods and our lawns, flame retardants that are put on our clothes, to our bed sheets, and substances in our food packaging. We're eating so much more processed packaged food today, and these chemicals are negatively impacting our life. So what am I telling you whenever it comes to this? I'm not telling you that you're doomed, that there's nothing that you can do. You're statistically going to be 10% heavier than an individual in the 80s. We need to be recognizing these chemicals that we're exposed to in our environment, eliminating our exposure to them, and effectively detoxing our body to remove those that we're never going to be exposed to anyways, so that our body can heal. Another big influencer, and one of the reasons why we as a society are putting on more weight every year, and again, that this article pointed out, that the researchers pointed out, was the use of prescription drugs, specifically antidepressants, your selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And these became really, really popular since about the mid-'80s and the '90s, even though they hit the market in the early 1970s. Antidepressants are one of the most commonly prescribed medications in the United States, and many of these medications, one of the side effects is obviously weight gain. Big surprise. As we begin to mess and meddle with our body's endocrine system and our hormone system, we are going to cause drastic effects. And one of those issues that we're seeing manifesting in our society right now is that an individual puts on weight. And to take that a little bit further, just from my own research and my own clinical data, what I found is that one of the reasons why an individual typically is depressed, right up there at the top of the list, outside of losing a family member, a financial issue, when it comes to an individual that's dealing with depression, it's body image. So the very medications that we're taking oftentimes that deal with depression are in fact further perpetuating our depression in the long run. I want you to wrap your mind around that and think about that for a moment. And the third one that the researchers pointed out was a change in the human microbiomes, which means the change in your digestive health and the bacteria that live in it. We've literally seen this change over the last 3 to 4 decades since the 1980s and the 1990s. And as a result of these microbiomes changing, it's negatively influencing our body's ability to regulate hormones. And that may not sound like a one-to-one correlation with you. How does the bacteria in my gut relate to my endocrine system? Well, follow me here. About 80% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gastrointestinal system, not in the brain. So what I mean by that is that these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, these antidepressant medications that we're taking, are to affect brain chemistry and a chemical imbalance, and I'm using my air quotes here as I say that. Oftentimes, the issue is not in the brain itself. It's 3 feet away in your microbiome and in your gut that's causing this disruption and causing you to feel that way. So what I want you to understand is that the research is out there and is showing that these chemicals, the way that the average American prescribes their lifestyle, is causing weight gain, causing depression, causing hormone disruptions that can lead to infertility and reproductive issues. And I truly believe that the protocols that we allow Pittsburghers to implement into their lives is changing. We teach what's called the 5 essentials of health. We help people truly understand here in Pittsburgh how to build a body that's congruent to the way that we were designed and created to live. And when we do that, amazing things happen. So, Dr. Aaron, I just want to take what we were just talking about there to the next level, because I myself take a ton of herbal supplements myself. And, if I was to do the numbers, probably, $200 to $300 worth of products I swallow on a monthly basis in order to correct my body. And again, these were all done through testing and understanding exactly what my body needs. But oftentimes we'll watch a popular talk show, or maybe we'll read an article online that says, yeah, I kind of have these issues and I'm going to run to the store and I'm going to pick up this supplement. Now, not only is that a problem when we're self-diagnosing, like you just pointed out, which we advise nobody to do, but here's where it even gets a little bit worse. The FDA just recently did some testing of herbal supplements, and they went to the big box stores. They went to Walmart, Target, Walgreens. They went to CVS, and they tested their supplements for potency. And they took to things like ginkgo biloba products. They took a look at St. John wort's products. They took a look at ginseng products. And what they found was that there was no ginkgo biloba, there was no St. John's wort in these supplements. So essentially what's happening is Pittsburghers and Americans are going to their store thinking that they're doing something good for their health and essentially just swallowing a very expensive wheat and rice capsule. That's why the products that we recommend in our stores are actually true herbal products that have the ingredients in the list that we're promising. We ourselves take them. So you have to be very careful when you're purchasing your products. And I would advise you against any big box store that you stop purchasing your supplement products from there, your herbal remedies from there, because oftentimes they do not hold the true healing properties that we need. So make sure that you are dealing with an educated individual when it comes to the purchase of these products. Hugely, hugely important. In the short amount of time that we have remaining, we always like to just go ahead and give that information just one more time. If you're taking a product that you don't know is the best interest for you, if you're dealing with a hormone issue, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're not sleeping well, you have a thyroid disorder, you have reproductive issues, perhaps you're having a hard time getting pregnant, to get yourself plugged into our hormone rebalancing, reboot, repair workshops coming up at 2 locations. Here they are. Sunday, June 25th at 1 o'clock in Granbury Township with Dr. Nick and Dr. Aaron, or Monday, June 26th in the South Hills at 6:30 p.m. with myself. At both of these events, we will be serving nice, healthy, amazing meals. So not only are we going to give you the PowerPoint, the action steps, the walkthrough of how to rebalance, repair, and reboot your hormones, we've worked with the chefs at these restaurants, and we've actually created amazing, healthy meals to serve you right there. We've actually even updated our meals since our last workshop. We had fantastic feedback from those that were in attendance. love the meals, love the workshop, and begin to implement what they've learned and have literally already begun to see, we just did ours this Monday, changes taking place in their life, weight losing, people sleeping better, feeling healthier than they have in years. To take your health and your life to the next level, we envision Pittsburgh as the healthiest city on the face of the planet, and we've put together these workshops to make you the healthiest person you know. God bless, and let's go Pens.